Karine Jean-Pierre made history during President Biden's administration as the longest-serving female press secretary, as well as the first black female person, human being, first immigrant, and first only LGBTQ plus person appointed to the position. She's everything.
Yeah.
And we're thrilled that she's here with us today for her first post-DC interview.
Yeah.
Please welcome Karine Jean-Pierre.
Thank you.
Joy has the first question, but you, when Stephen was leaving, she said, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. I disagree with you.
Yes, I do.
And I was curious, and so that's why I was curious.
I do, on the mandate, on Donald Trump and his administration having a mandate. And we have to be super mindful and careful of this because he does not have a mandate. And what I mean by that is if you look at the numbers, just look at the facts, he won with the smallest margin of the popular vote since the 19th century. Yeah. There was no cocktail, meaning that it is the House is at a razor thin, and he's on his way in the first 100 days to be the most unpopular president in their first 100 days. Yeah. That is not a mandate.
In 70 years.
In 70 years.
The word man is in there.
Well, that's questionable.
But I guess the question is, does it matter if he has both houses of Congress and the White House?
It does matter because right now we have, what we're seeing in this administration is he's taking a wrecking ball to the government. And what that means, and so that people really understand as folks are sitting here and watching, there are folks who have been fired from the federal government, and now, is our water safe, right? Is our food safe?
Right.
Are the skies
Right, and the skies, right? We have to worry about getting on a plane. Is that going to be safe?
Is there going to be a pandemic?
Is there going to be a pandemic? And not only that, folks who need their Social Security check, are you going to get it?
Yeah.
I mean, that is real. And they're doing it without concern of the fallout.
Right. They don't care.
And that is something that and look, I understand.
I'm pretty sure people didn't vote for those things.
Right, because where's the economy? What happened to, we're going to bring prices down? We saw what he did with the tariffs yesterday.
Yeah.
The American people are going to be paying for that.
Yeah.
And it's going to increase. If you look at car prices, if you could look at food prices, all of that is going to go up. And foreign countries are not paying for that. We are paying for that. Are we
going to be part of NATO?
Are we going to be? And look, it's a moronic policy. It is. But let's be clear. He said he was going to do that during his election.
Yeah, and he's doing it.
And this is, the strategy is chaos. It's truly chaos. But we cannot forget, and we have to start asking the hard questions as to what is happening right now. This is a 5-alarm fire.
So let me follow up on something else we were talking about. And do you think the Democrats should walk out tonight?
Look, the Democrats have a couple questions that they need to ask themselves. The one is, who are they? Who are we as a party? What are we fighting for? And are we meeting the moment? Because these moments are not normal. This is not normal. It is we have to have a sense of urgency as we move forward. And we cannot do it the way that we've had in the past. We just cannot.
That's right.
Because this is not normal.
This is not normal.
And it's a 5-alarm, as you say.
It is a 5-alarm fire. And if we do not act as if it is a 5-alarm fire, look, he's not just coming after vulnerable communities anymore. That was obviously something that is incredibly problematic. He's trying to make every other community outside of the vulnerable community vulnerable themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because of what he's going after and what he's doing. Because it's affecting all of us.
Everybody.
All of us.
Education.
Education. And we care about education.
I really miss you, you know?
Oh.
Yeah.
I miss you.
Give her a break.
Yeah.
She has so much.
We do. Well, let me ask you this. Since you left the briefing room, and we do miss you, the Trump administration has made some interesting changes, including barring the Associated Press from key press areas for not using the term Gulf of America instead of Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, boy.
And they've taken over control of press pool coverage for the first time, I think, in over 100 years.
Yeah.
What is your view of what is happening, and do you have any advice for the current press secretary?
So here's the thing. The Associated Press, if you look at the Associated Press, they are the oldest wire in the press briefing room. And you think about journalists, you think about the reason they're in the press briefing room, you think about the reason they're in the pool. It's called the protective pool. There are 13 members of the pool. I'll try not to get too wonky here. And their job is to provide unbiased information to the American people, because the American people deserve that. And when the White House press team decides to step in and override the White House Correspondents Association, who they have the job of doing that, then what we're looking at is state TV.
Yep.
What we're looking at is what Russia is doing. What we're looking at is what North Korea is doing. And we are doing that. They are attacking the fiber of the freedom of the press. They are destroying it because they want to be covered in a friendly way.
Yeah.
And look, I was in that position for 2.5 years. It is an exercise, what we did in the press briefing room, what the president did when he took questions from the press, it is an exercise of democracy. And we have to remember that when the press briefing room was televised, it's not just televised here in the United States,
Right.
it's televised globally.
A lot of people don't know that.
And right, people are wondering, other countries are wondering, what are we saying as the United States? What is it that we want to do? And it is an exercise of democracy. It is the cornerstone of democracy. The freedom of the press is the fourth estate. And we are supposed to be leading that as the most powerful country in the world.
It's called the First
Karine,
Amendment.
I do want
First
to ask.
Amendment.
I do want to ask about your boss, President
Yeah.
Biden. You were asked recently at Harvard about the sort of the onslaught that you guys faced after he had a very bad debate performance. You described it as a firing squad. Another Biden aide said the party lost its mind. Do you believe that Joe Biden would have won if he had stayed in? And a follow-up to that, do you think Kamala Harris would have had a better shot had she had more time?
So look, I was asked a question. I answered it honestly and how I felt at the moment. I was the one that was going to the podium almost every day after that happened. And it was shocking what I saw. But I also, I can't speculate, right? I don't know what would have happened. And anybody who says they do, they don't really know. And so I don't want to go to rehatch the past. I don't think that's a good idea. Right now, again, 5-alarm fire, we need to move with strategy, with focus, and the Democratic Party needs to actually answer those questions that I put forth. Who are we and what are we fighting
And how do we
for?
meet the moment?
And how do we meet the moment?
Press secretary, you were also an assistant to the president, so that meant you were able to interact with the campaign off time.
Actually, I could not I had a special kind of role as the press secretary. I did not interact with the
So you had as
I did
a
not.
commissioned officer.
I
the
could
president,
not,
you didn't?
because
so you
as
had
the press
no
secretary.
insight into the polling that showed he would have lost every swing
I
state?
did not
That ship has
because
sailed.
Well, it does matter, though.
Okay, here's what's going to happen. Hold on. We're going to take a break because you see this conversation getting going.